Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we are here to talk about my monthly goals. Every month I sit down and talk about how my goals for the prior month went, what action items I did complete, which ones I didn't complete, and then all the action items I have set for the upcoming month. So let's get started, because I always feel like I ramble in these videos and they end up being a lot longer than I think that they need to be. And the purpose of these videos, if I haven't said it in a while, is really for you to just see how I adjust my goal journey along the way, right? I started at the beginning of the year telling you what my 2022 goals were, what I was gonna focus on, and a lot's already changed, even though we're like a third of the way through the year. But it's helpful to see somebody else's goals, how they break them down, what they don't accomplish, right? Life isn't perfect, and seeing that I still make progress on my goals and I'm still proud of that progress, even if it's not perfect. It's never perfect. And so I hope that you find these videos helpful, not in like getting really specific ideas for your goals, but I do have something regarding specific ideas coming for you very soon, but just in the sense of like how a goal journey works, the ups and the downs and all of the things that I change and learn along the way. So let's start with April and start with our monthly goals. So the first monthly goal on every month for this year that I have done so far and will continue to do is my monthly revenue business goal. And this is the first month that I'm not hitting my monthly revenue goal, but I am completely okay with that. I had a very different focus and priority for the month of April that wasn't the business. It was just to focus on taking care of my body, being prepared for the dance show. And so I feel good about where the business is at and knowing the cyclical nature of an online business anyway, as well as just I wasn't putting in the same effort that I have in prior months. The next monthly action item was set plans for an event that I'm going to in May, and I did that, check that off. The next monthly action item was to get the May birthday situated, which relates back to my quarterly goals. If you watched my Q2 quarterly goals video, to get ahead on birthdays, to be 1 month ahead. And I especially wanted to do this for May because I have a lot of birthdays in May, and I haven't even gotten started on them. Yeah, I've had a lot of differing priorities for the month of April, and May birthdays just they haven't even started. Like I haven't even started to think about them. It is the 26th. It's possible I get to something by the end of the month, but also very unlikely given everything I have going on. So you'll see that on the May list. The next monthly action item was to get our Ireland plans all situated for our trip to Ireland. And I feel like I probably could have shaded this in a little bit more than I did. We got the majority of things done. There's a couple tours and like reservations that I still want to set, which we leave in like a month, so I really need to get on that. I'm not really carrying this over to May because it's, at this point, to me, it's like a couple of tasks, a little to-do list things that are just gonna end up in my planner and don't need to take up space on my power sheets. I did a whole video, I feel like it was probably a year ago now, of tasks versus goals and how to differentiate between what needs to be on a to-do list versus what needs to be in your power sheets or in your Moxie Life goal planner. Spoiler alert, there is no right answer, but I give a lot of tips and thoughts and how to think about those two things and separate them in that video. The next two monthly goal action items were to schedule some doctor's appointments, and I did those actually, probably it was technically still March when I did those and checked those off for April. The next monthly action item was to finish one nonfiction book that was related to an overall annual goal that I have, and I'm about 75% of the way through it. Again, still very possible that I finish that by the end of April. Probably not likely, and I'm okay with that. I feel good about the progress I have made on that book, and I think that with the travel that we have coming up in May, I will be able to finish that one and get through my next one. If you watched my quarterly goals video, the quarterly goal was to read 3 nonfiction books, and it was to do 1 per month. So spoiler alert, you'll see in May, my goal is to read another 1. Obviously, I'm not gonna move on to that one until I finish this one, but I do feel like I can do both of those things in May. The next one on here was to go through some of the no BS calls to really decide if I wanted to continue being a paid member of the program. And I talk way more about this in my quarterly goals video. And I have listened to some of them. I prioritized catching up on my other podcasts before I started listening to some of these calls, which is pretty contradictory to what was in my power sheets, but I did make some progress on there. Not enough to feel like I actually am able to make that decision, but a conversation with a friend has kind of got me leaning one way about a decision, but for now I'm kind of just like putting that on hold. The next monthly action item was to have a conversation with Sam about the New York City bucket list items, and I'm not carrying this over because we have plans to do it on Sunday, which is May 1st. So it will technically get done soon, but it's not technically April, but I haven't shaded it in, that's why. And then the last one on here was to do one of the bucket list items, and I did do that. I went to a drag brunch with a friend, which I had never been to a drag brunch before. I've been to a drag show, it was a very different experience than the drag brunch that I went to with my friend. It was so much fun, y'all. And we're ready to go again. I've talked about going with my dance friends. Like, it was just so much fun. The theme was Disney villains, and the costumes were incredible. The dancing was incredible. The music mashups were amazing. Like, it was so creative how they would go from like the villain's actual song to like a pop song that like related to the villain. Like, for example, one of the villains that like stuck out to me was Sharpay from High School Musical. Debatable on whether she's a villain or not, but they had her sing like one of her actual songs, and then it went into Material Girl by Madonna, and it was just fantastic. Okay, enough rambling about how much I loved that event. Moving on to the weekly action items. So my weekly action item this month was to get better again about reading before bed, and I was just asking myself to do it on the days I didn't have dance, so Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and I did it for most of the days, and in fact, I even did it on some of the other days that you can't see here, like on dance nights or on Fridays or Saturdays, because reading before bed is exciting for me on the weekends. What really helped me achieve this goal is that I am into a series and I just can't get enough of it. And I'm on the last book right now, and I am carrying this over and upping it in May, which we'll talk about. And I'm a little bit nervous that like, am I gonna be able to continue at that level once I'm done with this book series? All right, let's move on to the daily action items, because I had a lot of daily action items and I may have been a little bit ambitious. But the irony is my daily action items, you'll see a pattern. And it really, it was like almost an all or nothing, which I made a whole video about that too, talking about how we've got to let go of that all or nothing mindset when it comes to our goals. But you can see my daily action items flow together. I'm either doing all of them for the most part, or I'm doing none of them for the most part. And there were weeks that I was really good, and there were weeks that I fell off, and then I was good again, and then I fell off again. And it just kind of, that was the pattern of my April. So we'll go through them one at a time, but frankly, they all kind of followed that same general pattern, and they all kind of relied on each other. So the first one was to read my nonfiction book, which was built into my morning routine. So basically, if I didn't do this, I really didn't do much else of my morning routine. The next one on here was PT, kind of the same thing. Like, that one also kind of relied on my morning routine happening well, they all kind of linked together. The only one that kind of stood out on its own was my water, and I was pretty good about that most of the days. Closing my Apple Watch rings, kind of the same thing, because working out is part of my morning routine. So if I didn't do my morning routine to its extent, so I didn't do my reading, I didn't do my PT, I also didn't work out, I likely didn't close my rings. And same thing with the health planner. Part of my morning routine, if I didn't do one, I didn't do all of them. So, I tell you, and even in that all or nothing video, I talk about splitting up your habits like this so that you can get credit for doing some and not the others. And there were days that I did some and not the others, but unfortunately, I fell into the trap that they all kind of relied on each other, and I either did all of them or none of them. Overall, I feel really good about April. Like I said, I prioritized a lot of different things that aren't captured on my power sheets, between getting a lot of extra sleep for my body's health and for my mental health going into the show, to spending a lot of time with my dance friends, both preparing for the show as well as outside of dance. That isn't captured anywhere on this paper, and the show hasn't even happened yet, right? When I'm filming this video, we're 4 days out, and I already am I'm about to get emotional at how sad I am that it's gonna be over, because I love these humans so much, and I'm so thankful the amount of time that I was able to spend with them in the month of April. So let's turn the page. Let's go to May. I knew that getting back into a groove in May was going to be difficult. And I also knew that I was going to want to focus a lot more on my business and on work in May as I kind of transition out of the dance season. At the same time, at the end of the month, we are going out of town for a wedding. We're going to Ireland. And we have some other plans as well. I'm flying home for my brother's college graduation. I have some other plans with friends. So I don't have near as many steps on May that I did in April, or even probably any other, March was unique this year, but this is one of a lower month for me in terms of the number of steps on here. And that is because I know I'm gonna be spending a lot of my extra time either on things I've already got planned or focusing on work. That said, I wanted my encouraging words to remind me of what I loved about the month of April, and not to let go of that as we move into May. So I use an app called Motivation that literally is just an app of motivational quotes, and I have it on my homepage, and it rotates random quotes throughout the day, and I like to just see that on my phone, on my home screen. But I also like to go searching for specific quotes when I want something specific for my encouraging words every month. And so what I did this month was I went to the category about friendship, and I scrolled through I felt like I scrolled through a lot of quotes until I landed on this one that says, "Find people who will make you better," from Michelle Obama. And I really just wanted this quote to remind me throughout the month that there's a reason that I spend time with people I spend time with, and they make me a better version of me, and I don't want to lose that as I really do start to dig deep into focusing on work this month. And then the priority I wrote for May was just to be happy. I don't really know where that came from so much as like, I think when I was working on this today, I was getting a little bit like, oh my God, the show's almost over. I'm getting a little bit sad. And so I just like, there's a lot of great things going on in May, and I wanted to remind myself to be happy. So let's get into the monthly action items. Just like every month you've seen this year, the first one is to hit my business revenue goal. The next monthly action item is to schedule a June friend date. So like I said, we've got a lot of plans set for May. We don't really have any plans yet except for June, besides like the first couple of days that we're going to be out of town. Once we get back from being out of town, we don't have any plans yet, and that's okay. Like, I don't need to have plans every weekend in June, but I'd like to schedule at least one date with a friend in June. The next two monthly action items on here are to do both the May birthdays, because like I said, I am not going to get to them by the end of April, and then also to do the June birthdays. I think I have one, or I can only think of one person, but like I might only have one June birthday, and I bought their gift when we were in Austin this past month. We went to this cute little shop in Austin, and I saw something that just immediately made me think of them, and I was like, done, done. So June, it should be very easy because I'm pretty sure they're the only birthday I have in June, and I already have the gift. All I have to do is put it in the mail. The next monthly action item is to work on our Thailand plans. I didn't get specific, I just put work on them. The next one is that same breakdown that we already talked about, which is to finish one nonfiction book. Really, it's kind of secretly to finish two, because I'm not gonna start this one until I finish that other one, but I feel good about being able to do that. The next monthly action item is to schedule a dentist appointment. It's not exciting, necessary. And then the last monthly action item, same with the book goal, right? I had a goal to do 3 of the bucket list items in Q2, and so that kind of equated to 1 a month. It is very possible I don't get to 1 in May. I don't have 1 on the calendar right now as I'm filming this video. I don't have a lot of extra free time in May, given that we're traveling. I'm traveling twice. Not sure. I'm not sure that 1 of them is gonna happen in May unless we squeeze in a Broadway show at some point. So it's very possible I don't get to this. I put it on there because that was the breakdown that I was intending. But if I don't get to it, I don't get to it. And then the June goal will be to do 2 items. That way I can catch up to my quarterly goal of doing 3. Moving on to the weekly action items, I have 1 weekly action item that I'm doing in May, and that is to work on our wedding thank you cards. So if you watched the quarterly goals video, that was an overarching quarterly goal, was to finish our thank you cards before we left on our honeymoon. I have made the spreadsheet, like the spreadsheet's ready to go. I've split it between me and Sam. I have all of the information, everything that we have been sent, whether they attended the wedding or did not, like all the details that we need. We just need to get started on them. I just wrote thank you cards on here, but I am planning to do the math and go see how many I have that are on my list and divide that by all of the weeks in May and June, and that will be my goal so that I can get through them by the end of the quarter. And then the daily action items, I only have 1 daily action item this month, and like I hinted at, it's an upgrade from last month, which was reading before bed. And last month I only made it a goal to do it 3 nights a week, but I definitely did it more. And so I wanna get credit and get check marks for doing it more. So this month I made it a daily item. Again, a little bit nervous that when I finish this last book in this series that I have been reading, that am I gonna be super excited to read before bed, because I do think that is what really encourages me to read before bed, is being excited about what I'm reading. The good news is the author of the series I'm reading has another series. So I'm hoping that I will just hop on over to that series and be just as much into it as I was in this one. So that is the only daily goal. Does it mean I'm not gonna do any of the daily items from last month? No, not even a little bit. I for sure am still gonna do some of the daily items, but I'm not worrying about putting it in my power sheets, because again, other priorities going on this month, and it's just not, I don't want it to take up space on, not only on the page, obviously I have the space, I have the empty lines, but I don't want it to take up space in my brain and feeling pressured to do those things when they're not the priority this month. So that is what my May looks like. I wanna hear about your May, but first I wanna celebrate April. Let us know down in the comments, what is the one thing that you are the most proud of that you accomplished in the month of April? Let us know down in the comments so that we can celebrate together. If you like this video, if you find these videos helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday focused on helping you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching. The next monthly action items, nope, just 1. Then I really didn't do much of any else of my, and so if I didn't do this, how do I say this? The next monthly action items, actually,